The only men who get upset when you set boundaries are the ones who want you to have none so they can keep extracting from you. Listen to that again, ladies, okay? The only men who get upset when you set boundaries are the ones who want you to have none so they can keep extracting from you. Understand that a man who truly values you, he welcomes your standards. He may not always agree with them, but he respects them. He doesn't need to test you. He doesn't need to push your limits because he's not trying to get away with the bare minimum. But the moment you start speaking up, the moment you stop tolerating low effort, watch how some men suddenly pull away or lose interest. So what's the difference between a woman who's respected and a woman who keeps getting tested? Like I mentioned at the beginning, is your boundaries. Because feminine energy without boundaries is just vulnerability without protection. But when you learn how to embody feminine boundaries, not coldness, but clear, loving limits, you can shift the entire dynamic. And if you're ready for men to start seeing you differently and to stop wasting time on the wrong connections out of fear, you can join me on my next free live masterclass. Just comment the word masterclass below and I'll send you the link to join me. And now let's get into point number 1 of this video. Number 1, you don't translate yourself. Alright, ladies, never try to translate basic emotional awareness to a grown man, okay? If he's old enough to date, then he's old enough to know what respect looks like. You don't need to teach him why loyalty should exist online and offline, okay? A man who's emotionally mature doesn't need to be taught these things. He already lives them. My partner doesn't need to explain to me why I shouldn't be liking bikini photos of other women on Instagram, okay? Because I already know that would make her feel unseen, disrespected, or replaced. If a man doesn't get that, then he's not confused, he's just taking you for granted. He is comfortable testing your limits while thinking that you won't walk away. So be done with trying to convince a man to act right. You don't teach values, you recognize alignments. You're not his dating or relationship coach, okay? You're not his mother, you're not a rehab center for inconsistency, because the moment that you start justifying your boundaries to a man who benefits from crossing them, you're not in a relationship, you're in damage control. Like, look at this message that one of my clients sent to a guy last week. I get it, but I just wanted to say it kind of upset me that you liked that girl's pics and left those comments. I know you probably didn't mean anything by it, but I really wish you had been more mindful. I like you a lot and I'm not trying to control anyone. I mean, when she showed me that message, I just asked her one simple question. Why are you protecting his feelings more than your own self-worth? And you see, the problem is not that she spoke up, is that she softened her truth so much that he didn't have to take her seriously. Number 2, you don't overshare just to feel chosen. You know, emotional openness can be a beautiful thing, don't get me wrong, but without mutual care, it turns into emotional overexposure. Many of you ladies confuse being open with being seen. So you talk and talk many times, okay, hoping that maybe, just maybe, this man will finally understand you, validate you, or feel closer. But the truth is that oversharing doesn't always lead to intimacy. In fact, it's often anxiety in disguise. You might start revealing your whole past. You might start talking about your exes. You might start telling him that you're dating other people, you know, rotational dating, that you're going out on dates. Again, oversharing everything because you're trying to connect more. But then you walk away feeling more disconnected than before. And that happens because you were trying to create a bond through performance instead of connection. Listen to that again. You are trying to create a bond through performance instead of connection. If he's not showing presence, if he's not tuned in, leaning into your world, you're not being heard, you're being tolerated. Because this is something that a lot of you miss, and it's that some men will ask you deep questions, not because they're ready to hold your truth, but because they're entertained or they're trying to fast track a connection that they won't maintain. Understand that just because someone asks the right questions doesn't mean that you need to hand them your whole story right away. You don't need to overshare to prove that you're genuine and authentic, okay? You don't need to bleed to be seen. A real connection is not built on how much you reveal, it is built on how safe you feel while revealing it. Number 3, you don't adjust your boundaries to keep someone. When you water down a boundary to seem nice or understanding, it is not a boundary anymore. It is a blurry line that he can keep stepping over. I want you to picture that a real boundary is like a wall, and when a man crosses it, he shouldn't feel softness. He should feel the impact, like he just ran into something solid and now he needs to stop, step back, and rethink how he's showing up. A boundary is not there to control his behavior, okay, which is what a lot of you try to do. A boundary is there to protect you. You're not saying, hey, do this or else, okay? You're saying, this is who I am and this is what I allow in my space. And guess what? Some men will call it drama, okay? That you're being too sensitive, that you're too serious, too much. Not because you are, but because your boundary makes them uncomfortable. And discomfort is where the truth shows up. But many of you lower the bar to keep him, hoping that it's going to make him stay, but then he leaves anyways. And now you're left holding the weight of both heartbreak and self-abandonment. Lowering the bar might delay the ending, but it always deepens the wound. And remember that the same way that you're analyzing him, he's also analyzing you. And he's looking at your actions, not your words. So always remember, when you want to express your boundaries, make sure that your actions are being aligned with them. Number 4, you set the emotional tempo. Have you ever had a man doing a lot at first? You know, he's planning dates, calling you every day, talking about the future on week 2, and suddenly you feel like you're on a roller coaster that you didn't necessarily ask to ride. And it's flattering, right? Like when you're on the receiving end and you're seeing all these actions, all these things coming at you really fast, but you know that fast doesn't always mean authentic. Sometimes it means impulsive. Sometimes it is love bombing, and often it is just plain fantasy. And when you go and you match his speed just to keep him interested, okay, you start shaping the connection around his tempo, not yours. And that's when things start to feel a little off. You know, you feel anxious, unsure, like the ground under your feet is shifting constantly. But what you need to remember is that you have the power to slow things down in order to recalibrate. You're not here to feed the fantasy, you're here to build something that lasts, and anything real can handle a pause. When you control the emotional tempo, you create space for a deeper connection to emerge. And then you see how he responds to patience in addition to passion. And now you notice how he behaves when the honeymoon fades. And a feminine boundary in this case is going to sound like this. Hey, I'm really enjoying our connection, but I'd rather take things slow. I want to stay present and actually get to know each other. And final, number 5, you don't perform strength. Okay, so this last point is one of the most important ones, and I want you to be honest about it, okay? Tell me, like, how many times have you told yourself that being strong means staying quiet? That being the independent woman means you don't ask questions, you don't show need, and you don't react. So you keep it all in. You say that it's fine while something inside you twists. You smile through disappointment and you pretend that you don't notice the shift in his tone, his text, his energy, and you think that if you care less, he's going to lean in more. If you stay unbothered, he's going to respect you, right? But the truth is that pretending that you're okay doesn't build respect. It builds distance. You cannot connect deeply while hiding half of yourself. And if you keep choosing to be easy to love instead of fully seen, you're just gonna keep drawing in men who love the image of you but not the real you. Because real strength is not pretending. It's saying, hey, that didn't sit right with me, okay? Even when a part of you wants to brush it off and stay cool. You don't need to perform independence and strength to prove your worth, okay? You are allowed to care, to feel, to speak without apology. All right, ladies, so that is all for today. And if you got value from this video, just wait until you see the masterclass that I created for you. It's going to completely shift how you understand men, attraction, and what it actually takes to build a lasting relationship. So again, if you want to join me, just comment the word masterclass below and I'll reply with a free link to join. Anyways, thank you for subscribing to my channel. And remember that for your relationships to change, you need to change, okay? Have a beautiful day.